Politicians need to lecture less and listen more. And when we saw New York have the greatest swing towards Trump in the entire nation, 11.5 points, we saw that it took place in the hearts of immigrant New York. And so I went there to Fordham Road in the Bronx, Hillside Avenue in Queens. I asked those voters, why did they vote for him? And they told me they remembered having more money in their pocket 4 years ago. I asked them what it would take to bring them back to the Democratic Party. They said a relentless focus on an economic agenda. And when I told them my plan to freeze the rent, make buses fast and free, deliver universal child care, they said that they would vote for me. And I think ultimately that's what we need, is a recognition that for too long our party has moved away from working class voters. It's time we actually bring them back, and it's time we do so with an agenda that is not only urgent but possible. It's just a question of political will.
That's Zohran Mamdani earlier this month on Morning Joe, talking about Democrats who believe the party has moved too far away from voters. In a stunning upset, the 33-year-old state assemblyman has declared victory over former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the New York City Democratic mayoral primary. Cuomo has conceded, and Leader Jeffries joins us now. Leader Jeffries, thanks so much for being with us. I'm wondering, do you consider his win last night in New York City, do you think it provides a roadmap for Democrats running in 2026 on how to energize the base?
I think what's clear is that the relentless focus on affordability had great appeal all across the city of New York. He also clearly outworked, outorganized, and outcommunicated the opposition. And when someone is successful in being able to do all three things at the same time, it's usually going to work out for them.
Yeah, the New York Times editorialized that he was not qualified to be mayor. Of course, the Wall Street Journal and others say that he is far too extreme on economic issues and even issues involving Israel. I'm curious what your thoughts are on him ideologically. Is that does he have an ideology that you would want your candidates in 2026 to have?
Well, from the standpoint of House Democrats and what our focus has been, clearly we have an affordability crisis in the United States of America, and our focus will continue to be on driving down the high cost of living in this country. Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down, they're going up. He's crashing the economy in real time. His tariffs are going to impose thousands of dollars in additional cost on everyday Americans per year. And he may even be driving us toward a recession. It's the reason why Donald Trump has become so unpopular. It's because he's failed the country on the economy. And so our vision is going to be for an affordable America: work hard, play by the rules, live the good life, provide a comfortable living for yourself and for your family. That means being able to actually afford a home, educate your children, have access to health care, go on vacation with your children and your family every now and then. And of course, Joe, one day retire with grace and dignity.
So Democrats look at Donald Trump's approval ratings, and you have a lot of other Democrats and people in the media asking the question, why is the Democratic Party's approval ratings, why are they lower than Donald Trump's? I take it that's something that you all grapple with every day. Why has the Democratic Party over the past year found itself at sort of its lowest ebb in recent history? And how did Democrats get out of that?
Yeah, no, it's a very important question. And listen, institutions are unpopular right now in the United States of America, and that includes, of course, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. The dynamics that we have to work through, of course, one, Donald Trump and Republicans have given the American people every reason to run away from them. And it's going to be important for us to continue to make clear why this administration failed on the economy, failed foreign policy, trying to take away health care from tens of millions of Americans, ripping food out of the mouths of children and seniors and veterans. Of course, all of that is problematic. All of that is unpopular. That's why the one big ugly bill has such a high disapproval rate in the United States of America. We also recognize as Democrats that it's going to be important for us to articulate our affirmative agenda, what we stand for, this principle of working hard and playing by the rules, being able to live the good life, an affordable life for hard-working American taxpayers. And that is something that we're going to have to lean into. The other thing I'd note, Joe, as you know, perhaps the most important thing in terms of a midterm election dynamic is what's the generic ballot say to us? Every single significant generic ballot poll has House Democrats beating House Republicans consistently, including a recent Fox News poll that had us up by about 8 points. And so at the end of the day, yes, we have to lean into improving the Democratic brand. But at the end of the day, what will be most significant, most important, is how our vision contrasts with the management of this president, which has been a failure in the United States of America.
Leader Jeffries, let's turn you now to the situation in Iran. We played some sound from you earlier in the show expressing unhappiness that the administration briefing was postponed. The White House saying it's so Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense can be part of it later this week. Is that acceptable to you? And do you have concerns the administration is not being fully forthcoming as to what actually transpired in Iran over the weekend?
Yes, there's every reason to be concerned. There was this briefing that had been scheduled to take place in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. There was absolutely no reason that we've been provided that it should have been canceled in terms of the important questions that need to be asked and answered by the Trump administration. What was the imminent threat to the safety and security of the United States of America that justified this strike without seeking the congressional authorization required by the Constitution? What is the assessment of the damage that was done to Iran's nuclear program? Was it completely and totally decimated? No evidence to date has been provided to suggest that that representation made by Donald Trump is accurate. What is the plan to avoid another costly, failed war in the Middle East? Why was aggressive diplomacy abandoned by the Trump administration, notwithstanding the success that had taken place under President Obama's administration and actually pushing back Iran's nuclear aspirations? These are questions that need to be answered by the administration, and the fact that they continue to run away from confronting these situations on Capitol Hill is very problematic.
So, Leader Jeffries, to that point, I mean, you and many people have had your position in the decades before this, have expressed frustration when presidents don't seek congressional authority for military action like this. Do you feel like that a greater good was achieved here if Iran's program was, if not destroyed, but at least significantly delayed? What should be the next steps for this administration in this process?
Well, to be clear, Iran can never be allowed to become a nuclear-capable power. Iran is a sworn enemy of the United States, of Israel, of Jordan, of our allies in the Middle East, a sworn enemy of the free world. But the question, of course, is, was this strike successful in meaningfully pushing back Iran's nuclear aspirations, or is it going to complicate things in the Middle East in ways that put our men and women in uniform, American troops, and America in harm's way? That's simply the reason that having a all-member briefing on Capitol Hill sooner rather than later is important, so these answers can be obtained for the American people, the representatives of the American people in the United States Congress. That is the reason, fundamentally, why it's been Congress that was given the power to declare war, to authorize military force. And when administrations act differently, they have an obligation and a responsibility to provide the facts, the evidence, and the truth justifying their actions to the American people.
Well, this has been the debate. We talked about it yesterday with another member of Congress. This has been debate going back 30, 40, 50 years. Obviously, Republicans were saying this after Barack Obama attacked Libya. Republicans were saying this with Bill Clinton in the 1990s on Kosovo. But if you're going to have a surprise attack with B-2 bombers that are going to be going over to Iran, striking their nuclear facilities, do you think it's a good idea to inform 535 members of Congress before that operation takes off?
Well, the key here is what was the imminent nature of the threat that justified immediate military action and surprise military action.
Right.
If there
right.
was no
so the
imminent
United
threat,
Nations, I'm curious if you're concerned, like the United Nations, a nuclear agency, the IAEA had said that Iran had already enriched uranium up to 60%. And as you know, the jump from 60 to 100% is negligible, and had enough enriched uranium for several weapons. Would you consider that to be a considerable enough threat to strike Iran under those circumstances?
Well, certainly it's a challenging situation, but one of the reasons why we need a briefing, Joe, is to have an understanding, was that enriched uranium even damaged, or was it removed by the Iranians prior to the strike? We don't know the answers to that question. It certainly is something that should be talked about, and the American people should be informed about the reality of whether it was a successful strike or not. In terms of the Iranian nuclear threat, I think we've all been clear that Iran can never be permitted to become nuclear capable. But the Constitution is not a mere inconvenience, it's the reality. And if members of the executive branch, if hawkish individuals across the country want to change things, it's Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11, they can put forward a constitutional amendment. But the framers of this country saw fit to vest this authority within the House and the Senate, not the executive branch.
Right. And at what point should that be triggered? Should it be triggered by every strike, like, for instance, Barack Obama in 2011 in Libya, or countless strikes by the Bush administration and the Obama administration after September the 11th? Is it every strike, or is it when you were going in, sending troops in? When do you think that action is triggered?
Seems to me, and it's a great question, Joe, that it has to relate to whether the step that was taken, one, is in response to an imminent threat to American interests, and two, whether it's an act of war. And part of the reason why, after the fact, it's important for members of Congress to be able to have a briefing with the administration that is comprehensive and that gives members the opportunity to ask questions, so we can provide these answers to the American people, who clearly do not want another failed, costly, deadly war in the Middle East.
All right, Leader Hakeem Jeffries, thank you so much for being with us. And may I just say, as a guy who had to walk to court in 100-degree weather time and time again in Northwest Florida, the choice of Searsucker today in Washington, D.C., a very wise one, sir. So thank you so much for being with us.
That's high praise from you, Joe. I appreciate it.
No, it's hot there. Stay cool. Stay inside. Thanks so much, Leader. Greatly appreciate it.